This week on commandN, the Pope on YouTube, a webPICK from Sweden, and Rocketboom from Halifax. Welcome to episode 166 of commandN. I'm Amber.
I'm webPICK.
And Will, it was beautiful last week. We had nice snow. It was hovering around 0. But this week it's minus 20 with the wind chill.
Popsicle week.
I know, it's very cold. So let's get into it and talk about the tech headlines of the week. Our headlines this week are sponsored by GoDaddy. If you go to GoDaddy, all you have to do is enter the promo code commandN, that's the number 1 and the number 0, and you get an extra 10% off any of the hosting packages that you buy on the site. Our first headline this week is about a designer who lives in San Francisco who owned the username YouTube on Dig. Well, he was short of money for rent, so he decided to go onto Craigslist and tried to get $650 for his Dig username. Well, it turns out Dig will not allow him to do this because of their policies, so I guess he's not going to make money that way, but TechCrunch has put up a little tip jar for him, so if you feel like donating to help him pay his rent, you can do that on techcrunch.com. And Will, you have some other good YouTube news from some funny guys across the pond.
That's right. Monty Python put all of their archive up on YouTube, and it dramatically increased the sales of their DVD. So if you're looking to make the case to folks that, you know, being able to look at it for free online actually does cause people to buy it, there's your new case study right there.
All right, and I never thought I would say this, but the Vatican now has its own YouTube channel. So you can go to youtube.com and you can follow along with what the Pope has to say and other religious figures.
Well, next up, a recent report says that the internet has now hit 1 billion users. So that's a lot of folks to watch new YouTube channels.
It's also a lot of people to watch this video that's on YouTube, where you can see that someone has discovered that Chewbacca lives in his bedside table. I love that. I need to get one of those bedside tables because there's nothing like waking up to the sound of Chewbacca.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to wake up to that sound.
You're probably smarter than I am then, Will. So this video is just proof that people maybe are wasting time on the internet.
Yeah, well, it's true. And not only that, but these things are all distracting us. A recent report has shown that all these kind of devices that are always beeping and booping at us, it turns out they're actually distracting us quite a bit. And psychologists think that it's the kind of trigger that used to keep us, like, it would warn us if there was like a saber-toothed tiger coming or something. But they've said that apparently chronic procrastination as a sort of thing in the population has gone way up.
That does not surprise me at all. But commandN is educational, so you need to remember that. And right now we're going to check in with Jeff with his segment from Halifax, where he does an interview with Andrew Barron from PodCamp.
Welcome to PodCamp Halifax 2009.
PodCamp is a grassroots organization started in Boston by Chris Penn and Chris Brogan, and it started with a focus primarily on podcasting with a bit of social media, and it's evolved into being full spectrum social media.
Anyone can put on a PodCamp. The instructions are on the main website, podcamp.org, and it really is up to the people attending to organize it. I would say it takes a bit of direction and leadership from a few people to get everybody going, but it really is whatever you want to make it.
So we have the keynote from Andrew Barron, who's Rocketboom from Rocketboom. A whole bunch of different presentations, like how to unfriend people on Facebook and grassroots community building with social media, a whole wide range and spectrum of presentations just produced from a wiki, basically, in the community on the internet.
Without further ado, Andrew Barron.
All right, well, thanks very much. Pretty excited. I've been to a couple of PodCamps before, and I haven't ever felt the energy that I'm getting kind of from everybody and all the excitement, so this is really great.
So we're happy to have Andrew Barron here of Rocketboom fame, the founder of Rocketboom, which has been around since late 2004. How has the online video space changed in that time? Obviously it's changed a lot, but what comes out for you?
Well, of course, the most obvious one, just of how saturated it is. A lot of people have really jumped into the space.
Do you think that's helping the best stuff float to the top, or is it crowding out the medium? Or
I mean, it's just a sign of what everybody kind of anticipated, is that the medium can be used for so many different things, and you can use it also to appeal to a very niche audience. I mean, even people are using it with no greater intentions of having 10 people watch their video.
Where does Rocketboom sit now, and what are you sort of looking at for the future? What's over the past few years? You've obviously had a lot of evolution, personnel changes.
I think the biggest thing over the last few years is that me and Rocketboom and independents and the mainstream media altogether, for the most part, really assumed that the market would develop much faster. And that sort of the advertising plays and all that stuff would happen faster, and that the traditional mainstream would come in with their new content. I mean, they've definitely, like all of the traditional media companies, have made it onto the web, and they're all distributing their TV and film stuff like through Hulu, et cetera, but still yet hardly anybody's really created professional content specifically for that medium, the web, where your audience is very different. You know, people are watching it on a computer and have short attention time spans, and mobiles, et cetera. So obviously there needs to be this moment where you say, okay, all of you professional sitcom creators and professional filmmakers, what are you going to do now? Here's the money. Now go out and create something specific. And so far they haven't been able to justify any budgets yet, so nobody's really been willing to take a risk. For Rocketboom, about 6 months ago, right at the top of the market, we were really lucky to have gotten our deal with Sony Pictures.
Right.
And one of the things that I like best about Sony Pictures is that they're looking at it more like an investment into the future. And so I think that's really neat and exciting, and so we'll start to see a lot more content that people will really enjoy and find entertaining, and a lot of really big hits and stuff that a large audiences all together feel. I mean, it's hard to compete. Like Rocketboom, every time when I watch The Daily Show, for instance, and I think like, oh, it's so funny and it's so great, they have 18 professional writers. And if we only have one writer, it's really hard to compete.
Yeah. And so what's next for Rocketboom? What's coming up specifically in the future for that organization and yourself?
Yeah, so for Rocketboom, we got stuck actually for a couple of years with a big lawsuit, and then it was, unfortunately, we saw all of our colleagues really expand, like taking their hit shows, using it to leverage for capital to create a network, and then creating a whole bunch of shows like Revision 3 or Next New Networks, et cetera. And so it was really frustrating to just kind of watch all that happen, but to stay stagnant as just the show Rocketboom. But now that we're here, on the flip side of all of that, and we're free, we are finding that it actually was beneficial, because now the way that we'll grow is by learning from the mistakes that the other networks made that we probably would have made too.
Are there a couple of those problems that really stand out that you think are compromising that whole experience?
Well, the first one being just that they got so much investment that they had anticipated that they would generate revenue back earlier, so then they burned through their investment too fast. But also I think probably maybe the other top problem is that they sort of decided, instead of taking the hit show and expanding upon it, they decided, let's try to create these other vertical silo shows. Like if you've got a show on Dig Nation, and it's about what's going on Dig or something, and then if you have another show that's about Photoshop, the audience isn't necessarily going to cross back and forth because the interests are different. A better way to do it, perhaps, could be spinning off the content. A lot more like, remember who the, on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, remember who the correspondent was in the earlier days? Colbert.
Yeah, Colbert.
And then people just kept saying, bring him back, he's so funny, bring him back. And so then by the time they said, let's branch this off and make a separate show, it was like fusion kind of, because whatever the value was of The Daily Show, they just went like that, and then it was 2 times.
Yeah.
Same audience, same workflow, same kind of business model, everything.
So there's economies of scale when they're doing the
Right.
production like that.
When we're at this small scale, like a single show or 5 or 10 shows, I think you've got to really be very considerate about how you're leveraging your resources. If you're CBS, you can afford to do these vertical silo shows because inevitably you have something else in your organization that you can use to leverage it up.
So thanks again to Craig and all of y'all. Really enjoying my time here, and thanks again.
Hi Amber, hi Will, hi everyone. I am reporting to you from the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. I'm here with my friend Mark Adams, who is the Director of Communications, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on. So hi Mark, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Pleasure. Well, I mean, you see it's a bit chaotic at the moment. You can see the scene. This is actually where all the sort of leaders of the world, if you like, all the masters of the universe come. By tomorrow this will be, hopefully, we hope, they normally work till midnight, but by tomorrow this will all be transformed into a superb conference setting. Big hall downstairs, lots of rooms, 250 sessions over the next 5 days. There are about 2,500 world leaders here. So you can imagine it's a pretty high-powered thing. But also, by the way, and people, this is always overlooked, we also have here the head of Amnesty International, the head of Oxfam, the head of World Vision, head of the International Trade Union Movement. It really is, I hate the term, I can't think of a better one, but we call it a multi-stakeholder organisation, which means that we try to bring everyone together. And, you know, in this moment, which is possibly the first crisis of globalisation, you know, this is probably a unique platform for actually addressing a problem together by region, by sector, and so on. And so we're trying to get people together to look at what's happening, where we're going to go. That's basically what happens here.
Perfect. And I know that the theme for this year is managing,
shaping the
post-crisis world. Right, I always forget that title. Can you just tell us just 1 or 2 quick things about that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, hang on, how can you shape the post-crisis world when the crisis is still on? Good question. Actually, we are really going to be dealing with the crisis as is at the moment. We need to actually deal with people's problems, and we're dealing with a lot of our members on that. We will also be looking forward. There's no point in solving, stemming the bleeding if then you just leave the person by the side of the road, after a car accident. You have to think where you're going to go after this, and if we don't think about that, we don't think about shaping the post-crisis world, then we're going to end up in the same situation again. So there's that, and actually, by the way, we'll also be looking at a whole range of other things: environmental issues, food safety, water safety, security, a lot of issues that we need to be dealt with.
Okay, so I know that every year the forum does a big job of trying to engage people in conversation, and this year it's the first that I've heard of it, so please educate me about the YouTube debates and how you've sort of involved outside people.
What we've done this year is we've actually taken 4 key themes from the meeting, and we've asked the YouTube community to sort of feed in to those issues.
Your recommendations can make a difference in ensuring global gender equality.
The idea is clearly to try to bring the outside in here, because this is a great hothouse of leaders, but you really need to actually, sometimes maybe they're not listening, and it's really good to actually try to get those people to come in. And by the way, there was like a golden ticket for YouTube and also for MySpace. The person who submitted the best video, they're coming. In fact, I'm having dinner, Matches and I are having dinner with them.
Just come in the shot.
We're actually having dinner with them tonight.
So the winner, so just so everyone understands, the winner of the YouTube contest who uploaded an answer to one of the many questions that were asked get to actually fly into Davos to sort of share their opinions, and these 2 guys get to take them out for a nice dinner.
Share their opinions and actually report back to the community.
And report back to the community, so sort of to represent the people.
The nature of CEOs, very dissimilar, profit-driven, may very well be unprecedented. This seems reasonable in this never-before-seen globalized world of ours, with international markets and the chance of sometimes finances overpowering politics. So yes, we do need a code of ethics for CEOs, but not one like there is for doctors and lawyers.
And so can you tell us a little bit about Twitter and how people are sort of engaged and where they can find you online?
You can find us on Twitter, twitter.com/Davos. Official hashtag is @Davos. Hopefully we can get some interesting discussions going on there. This is kind of because it's nice to be present everywhere, but what's really takes a lot of time, a lot of work, is to actually start the discussion, get a discussion going, and sustain discussion. So, and I hope we can. I'm looking forward to do Twitter interviews, or maybe not Twitter interviews. What we will do, we'll live stream our press conferences on Mogulus, and that allows people to ask live questions via the chat function to Bill Gates, Ban Ki-moon, Gordon Brown. I mean, we have a great cast for the press conferences. So we can also ask, announcers on Twitter. So, please go to mogulus.com/World Economic Forum, and that's where you can get all the press conferences.
And don't worry about memorizing all of that, as with every commandN episode, the links will be at
just
the bottom,
below.
just below. And the one more thing that I wanted to say was to tempt all of you to tune in to all of the streams, both Twitter and YouTube and everything. We've got big people from the community. We've got Michael Arrington, we've got the guys from YouTube, we've got the guys from Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is here. We've got all sorts of people that are really ready to push this conversation to the next level. So we're definitely going to be reporting back to you. Guys, thank you so much for speaking with me. And Amber and Will, I will see you when I come back.
And now it's time for our web picks of the week. Will, what's yours?
My web pick this week is a site called Spreed. It's a kind of online speed reader, and they've got an iPhone app, and they're both pretty cool. I'm getting to be a pretty big fan of the iPhone app, because that's the problem on the mobile phone now, is if you're doing a lot of reading, you can't really read through a lot fast, but this makes it pretty neat.
For our next web pick, we have a pick from a commandN viewer from Sweden named David.
Hej, Amber och Will, och alla andra som tittar på commandN. My name is David. I live in Växjö in southern Sweden. I have a great web pick to tell you about. It is a site called Pixlr. It's a free web tool for photo editing, all written in Flash, no install needed at all. I'm no professional photo editor, but to me Pixlr has a real Photoshop-ish feel. In the same time it takes to boot up real Photoshop, Pixlr uploads your picture, let you do your editing, then download your picture back to your desktop. Pixlr has many great features, and not only the basics. The toolbox has about 20 different tools. You can work with layers, filters, colors, and you can rotate, zoom, crop, and cut and paste. Pixlr is written by a Swedish guy named Ola Sevandersson, but Pixlr has already been translated to about 15 different languages. And thank you for the best video podcast on the net. Take care.
Now remember, we'd love to feature any of your picks on the show, so all you have to do is a quick little YouTube video, and you can post the link on commandN.tv or send it off to us at info@commandN.tv, because we want to include the community in the show as much as possible.
Absolutely.
All right, we will see you in the comments. We're going to go inside and get warm. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.
There's something you forgot, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing. When you're feeling in the dumps, don't be silly chumps. Just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. And always look on the bright side of life. Come on. Always look on the right side of life.
Oh no.
For life is
Chris is trying to. This is how you're trying to avoid us getting a ticket by shooting the cops. That's gonna go over really well.
Yeah. Why do I feel like I'm not going home right now?
So always look on the bright side of death.